Cheers, guys. Epix911, welcome to the Elite Geek. Another VR news video, this time dealing with games. And what I want to get across, and most of you, this is common sense, but just know that there's a lot of sharks in the water right now. Everybody and their cousin is going to try to make money off of VR, off the hype train that is VR. And that's going to mean a lot of fly-by-night, indie-style companies, true to the spirit, most not, that are going to try to separate you from the cash in your wallet with pretty crappy software. And some of those I'm going to tell you about in this video. Now, not all of it is necessarily something I've experienced firsthand, but I've been in this game pretty much 3 decades plus now, so I've got a pretty good gut instinct for what constitutes crapware and what constitutes fun, and the two are usually completely separate. So, without further ado, let's get through to some titles. So, on the good but let's just wait and see side of the equation, we have Final Fantasy 15 VR. Now, what does that mean? And they're not telling us much. At this point, it only means that you get to kind of watch combat and you get to, put a visor on and see that combat kind of firsthand. Does that mean it's going to be a full game worth of VR? Is it just combat that you can view? Or is this some kind of like spectator mode that they're going to add? We don't know, and we won't know for a while yet, which is typical for Square Enix, the hush-hush nature. As we get closer to release, I'm sure we'll know more. But right now, it looks cool, but there's not much substance there. And the same is kind of with Fallout 4. And if any of you watching this have managed to get Vire.io working with the Rift and Room VR and Fallout 4, please, for the love of all that is holy, let me know in the comments below what the hell you did, because I am a fairly experienced IT guy, and for probably the last 4 or 5 days I've been trying to bend it to my will, and I have not had much luck. So let me know what you did to manage to get it working, because apparently Fallout 4 Room VR works right now with Vire.io. I get a super hitchy, glitchy picture that is honestly grand mal seizure inducing. It's pretty bad. It just, blinks in and out and is terrible. What I'd like to see is just an idea of what we can expect. And it's the same with Bethesda's effort. And to me, it's not the fact that Bethesda is assembling a team for Fallout 4. That's cool. And we'll get a hint of that, like I said, with Vire.io, right? It's the fact that they're assembling a team, period, because this is a team that's going to gain experience from this, and hopefully this will lead to much cooler VR initiatives in the future, which just start with Fallout 4. So that's kind of my hope, right? So we've got the quick and dirty, you can jump in right now with Vire.io, and we've got what Bethesda is going to bring us with Fallout 4. And then we've got Doom VR, which at this point in time I want to caution is just basically an on-the-rails experience, right? It doesn't seem like it has all the free form that you get when you actually play the game. It seems to be kind of more of an on-the-rails, rail shooter experience, right? So you're being brought through the environment rather than having the choice of kind of where you want to go. But again, I would just caution, wait and see. Now, one of the viewers of this channel, Al Martin, recommended a game to me that I hadn't heard of. And I'm not a huge sim guy. I've played sims in the past, Falcon 3.0, SSI when they used to be in sims way back in the day. I like them, but I was never what I would say, I wouldn't call myself a hardcore fan, and certainly the last 10 plus years I've kind of haven't kept up to date. It seems like they disappeared, right? Well, little did I know, he pointed out a game called DCS, Digital Combat Simulator. And what's cool about these guys, they're on Steam, you can check them out, I'll have a link below. They offer essentially a free experience And not just a free experience, but a free VR experience. And let me tell you, it has to single-handedly... Okay, first of all, it's the only thing that's pulled me out of Elite Dangerous, right, in the last week and a half. And it has easily the best cockpit experience yet. Like, the guys who do Project Cars could learn from the DCS folks because they have nailed the cockpit experience. It's absolutely fantastic. It's stunning. And it also shows you what high-res, true 1080p VR looks like. And it makes it that much more disappointing when I go back to Elite Dangerous because it's 720p. It's not true 1080p, the experience. And you know it could look better. And that just adds to the frustration factor when you're looking at fuzzy text, which for the most part I've straightened out. Like, I know most of those settings, and I'll probably do a separate video on running the Vive with, you know, various games and spend some more time in games. I know a few of you have asked for that. So I'll be doing that with Elite Dangerous and let you know the settings that I use. Because yes, I have a crisp, clear text, you know, legible text experience now, but it's definitely not what I would consider a high-res experience. So DCS, easily the best cockpit experience yet in VR. Like, it's fantastic. The feeling of being up in a plane, second to none. How they make their money is they basically offer DLC at, you know, various prices. I've seen it as cheap as $4.99 up to 50 and 60 Canadian for things like, you know, Apache, Huey, helicopters. What they come with, my guess is, and I haven't really explored it, I've only explored the free side so far, is that that would come with its own scenarios and additions to the campaign. And the reason why something like a helicopter is so much more expensive is because it doesn't fit in with the scenarios, which are plane-based, that you get in the free game. But I could be wrong. But as I learn more and as I explore that, I'll definitely share that with you guys. But right now, as it stands, for a full-fledged VR experience, I can definitely recommend DCS, Digital Combat Simulator. Free on Steam. Did I mention that part? It's free, which is awesome. Now we've got to go into those cautionary shark waters again. And there's an effort called Dogfight Elite from a company called Echo Boom, who you've probably never heard of. Either have I. And there's probably a reason for that. To me, it looks like poop de jour. Like, it looks like crap. Cruftware, right? I would steer clear. And if anybody's played it, and I'm incorrect on that, please let me know below. But everything I've seen, it's a steer clear away from that. And that's Dogfight Elite from Echo Boom. Then we have The Nest from Inverse Studios. And The Nest, unlike Dogfight Elite, looks like a fun experience. And the reviews have been mostly positive. What I've read is that after, you know, minutes, which quickly turn into hours, you literally feel like you're in a sniper's nest. Thus the name of the game, right? And it looks very high-res, very crisp, and a fun kind of military experience. So that's The Nest from Inverse Studios, which looks really good. And then we've got some more crap in the form of Lost Route from another company that I've never heard of, Imbanova Entertainment. And apparently this is procedurally generated. And procedurally generated is just a fancy term for random. That's basically all it is. And roguelike games tend to use procedurally generated code, right? So every time you play a roguelike game, you get a different same experience. So you get a random level, random monsters, random items on that level, and random experiences. The same experiences, but randomized, right? It looks really bad. It looks like kind of, you know, the wrong turn on the country road cliche experience, which we've seen in probably a dozen horror movies. It looks really bad. So I would, you know, pardon the pun, steer clear of that one too. On the good side again, we have Obduction. That's Obduction. And it looks to me like a spiritual successor to Myst. I was never big on the Myst train. You know, didn't really get it, but that's the cool thing about VR. Things that I weren't really into, like adventure games, and I played a few, King's Quest and, you know, Space Quest. But for the most part, oh, and of course, you know, the LucasArts, the Monkey Island, I played those, and Day of the Tentacle. But that's really it. Like the really popular stuff I played, for the most part, adventure games passed me by. But in VR, that experience is so different. An adventure game can immerse you in a way that it never could, on a 2D monitor, right? It changes the experience. And I would urge anyone who has biases, gaming biases, right? If there's only certain genres that you like, in VR, give them another chance. Whether it's an adventure game, whether it's a first-person shooter, virtual reality changes the experience enough that it's worth revisiting. So do yourself a favor. If there's games that you're biased against, give them another shot and try them in VR. And then we have OctoShield, which is another early access stay away caution, and it's OctoShield from Anthony Pijot, I think his name is. Anybody who's watched my older videos knows how I feel about early access. To me, early access is a money grab. Early access rewards developers for game content they haven't created yet, in my opinion. It takes away the incentive for them to do a good job if you reward them early. That's just natural. If I get a bonus at work and I haven't earned that bonus yet, and I just get it paid out ahead of time, what incentive do I really have to earn it? I don't. I've been paid out already. And that's not to say there are people who, have the discipline to fight through that, but it's human nature. And to me, I can't support early access. If I see early access, all I see is a big red flag that says, not ready, do not buy, do not invest. And I can think of so many examples where early access has just been horrible. Take a game like, I love this game called Terraria. Fantastic game. It's kind of like, I guess, Minecraft-ish in a way. Like you've got to mine, and you take yourself through technical phases. So the more you mine and develop leads to other technologies, etc. There's a game very similar called Starbound, which has been in early access limbo for years now, it seems, and it's never been able to achieve what Terraria did in a quarter of the time, in my opinion, due to early access. But again, that is a personal bias of mine to steer clear of early access. I know there's arguments to be made, and there are gems in the rough, but for the most part, I don't think we should reward people for work they haven't done yet. Then we have probably the 13,000th zombie game, Armed Against the Undead from Unity 3D College, which, again, I've never heard of. It sounds to me like a Unity 3D programming group of kids in some school. I don't know. But it's a zombie game, and unless you really, really like zombies, I would personally steer clear of that as well. And lastly, so I've kind of been going bad, good, but the last game experience is called Zero G, and it's from Linkus Studios. And this one looks okay, but again, I would wait. But it looks very similar to Adrift. So that same game experience in Adrift. And it's got a smattering of mostly positive reviews so far, but I would probably give that some weight. Most of the good games that I've talked about in this list, personally, I would wait for a Steam sale. Unless you're really sitting there and you've got nothing to do with your VR right now, I would wait. We've got a summer Steam sale coming right up, and then, of course, we got the holiday one in December, right? So, in the meantime, there are full-fledged games like Elite Dangerous, like DCS, that provide awesome, immersive VR experiences and have a full game behind them, which literally can lead to hundreds of game hours of play. So enjoy those for now, and if I missed any games on this list that are new for this last week, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, guys, until next video, cheers.